Now, on the Chevrolet Sports Night, Panthers football returns with a preseason clash at Buffalo. Highlights and reaction from the team's first test run of the year. Plus, the PGA Championship gets underway at Belle Reef Country Club in St. Louis, who stands alone atop the crowded leaderboard after day one. And the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series ready to roll in Michigan this weekend. We'll give you our picks with the Fantasy Fuel. All that and so much more next on the Chevrolet Sports Night.
From Spectrum News, this is the Chevrolet Sports Night.
Well, hello there, and thanks for joining us here on the Chevrolet Sports Night. Carolina Panther football pushing us back just a little bit, but don't worry, you still have 30 full minutes coming up here on the Chevrolet Sports Night. I am Mike Solarte. Much to get to over the course of the next half an hour. We'll talk a little bit of racing. We've got plenty of college football news to get to as well, but we're going to start things off with what you just saw. Opening night for the Panthers as they hit the road to Buffalo for a preseason date with the Bills. Now, the anticipated Kelvin Benjamin, Cam Newton reunion went as well as could be expected. The two met on the field in pregame, looked to be talking it out until Benjamin turned away from Newton, and Newton decided that the conversation was pretty much over. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's hit the highlights first because it was a pretty exciting game for a preseason. Cam Newton trying to get everybody fired up. The offense did not do well in their first possession, but here comes Benjamin. Extension and the nice double toe tap to stay in bounds. That's a good catch. Then Nathan Peterman lobbing 128 yards to Benjamin, and he goes in for the score and then flattens the fan. All right, not really, but he partied. Bills up 7-0. Cam and the offense get another set of downs, and they make it work. First to Christian McCaffrey. That's a first down. Later in the drive, Cam's going to find Jarius Wright. Yards after catch, people. Yak numbers. Down to the 2, and that would lead to CMC McCaffrey up the gut for the tying score, and it's 7-7. Now the defense not to be outdone. Shaq Thompson tip drill. Check out the INT. The nice rip picking it up off the turf. Change of possession. Panthers down 17-7 at the break, and the comeback would begin in the third quarter at the hands of the backups. Garrett Gilbert throwing a strike here to Mose Frazier. Nice catch. 26-yard strike. Bills up 17-14. Fourth quarter we go, same score. C.J. Anderson from the 4. The reason the Panthers try to get this guy get him signed, and they do just that. 21-17 Carolina at that point. The Panthers would add to that lead thanks to the local kid. Elijah Hood out of the backfield. Taylor Heineke, the little flip. And the Charlotte native takes it in for the score. Those would be important points because Buffalo would score late. Miss a two-point conversion. The Panthers go on for a 28-23 victory over the Bills in their preseason opener. All right, now before the game, as mentioned, Cam Newton and Kelvin Benjamin had a chance to catch up and talk. And for the looks of it, the two aren't exactly buddy-buddy these days. Cam actually asked Thomas Davis to step away at the beginning of this here. He wants to talk this out. But given Benjamin's harsh comments about his time in Carolina earlier this week, specifically aimed at Cam, well, conversation, as mentioned, went about as well as could be possibly anticipated, and it's over at that point. So that brings us to our Twitter poll question tonight. Who got the better of the Cam Newton-Kelvin Benjamin beef on Thursday? Panthers won the game. Benjamin had a touchdown. Cam did not throw a touchdown, but didn't play poorly either. So we gave you Cam or Kelvin, or as the notorious B.I.G. once penned, what's beef? At Sports_Night, that's where you go to vote, comment, and of course we will give you your results a little bit later on in the program. First round pick DJ Moore made an impression in his first live action of the preseason. 24th overall selection, had 4 catches for a team-high 75 yards. He got passes from 3 different quarterbacks, including the team's longest play of the game, a 32-yard heave from Taylor Heineke. Moore was targeted 6 times on the night. Nice little piece of footwork on this reception. This is any indication, folks. Panther fans, you have reason to be excited. 3 of 3 in the second half. 3 of his catches went for 16 yards or more. In all, Carolina with 268 yards of passing offense against the Bills. Now, we will be checking in at New Era Field when Ron Rivera hits the podium. We'll bring you his post-game comments here momentarily. All right, other news in the world of sports. Wake Forest assistant basketball coach Jamil Jones is in legal trouble. Jones has been arrested, charged with third-degree assault after punching a man in Queens, New York last weekend. The man later died as a result of the injuries. According to the Queens District Attorney's Office, Jones turned himself into police on Thursday afternoon. Jones joined the Demon Deacon staff as a recruiting specialist in 2017 after stints at Central Florida, Virginia Commonwealth, and Florida Gulf Coast. Wake Forest has released a statement saying, quote, "We have just been made aware of this matter and are gathering information. We will make a further statement after we learn more about the matter," end quote. So obviously this caught Wake Forest a little off guard. All right, back to football now. Even though NC State's defense will be a bit green up front this season, their secondary is still mostly intact. They now just need to be better. Wolfpack ranked 103rd in the country last season, giving up more than 250 passing yards per game. Dave Doran was asked after practice Thursday what he'd like to see his defense improve on going forward, and didn't hesitate in his answer.
We want more interceptions. I think that's the biggest area, just to create more plays like that. We've done a nice job stopping the run, and we've done a nice job creating fumbles. Just getting more interceptions. We've played in the backfield. Our tackle for loss and sacks and things like that have been above par. It's just we want to get more balls going the other direction and take advantage of some of those opportunities, and you don't always get them, so we got to make our layups, I guess you'd say, as a DB when the ball hits us in the hands.
All right, Wake Forest with 6 starters returning on their defense. Up front, they'll need to replace names like Duke Etchefor and Wendell Dunn. They combined for 89 tackles and 9.5 sacks a season ago. Senior Willie Yarbury will lead the charge this year alongside Zeke Rodney and Boogie Basham. Building quality depth at the position is an emphasis for the Deacs in this fall camp.
Those guys are all playing well. I think it's not out of the question that Rondell Bothroyd helps us this year. Deion Bergen, Ja'Cory Johns, all those guys have come in physically ahead of typically what we have freshmen. And you'd like to stay healthy and get the extra year and play them 4 games, but who knows? That's always a position, and not to be a broken record, but running backs and D linemen, you can never have enough.
Sticking with the defensive theme, North Carolina hit the field Thursday, and they're still plugging guys in to deal with the suspensions of 13 players to start their season. One area of concern is at the defensive end spot. Senior Malik Carney will sit out 4 games, and the Tar Heels will have to look to their depth, try to contain the run and apply pressure on the quarterback. Head coach Larry Fedora says he's not too concerned.
Got the 2 young guys that we just signed also. Jake redshirted last year, so this will be his first year to get extensive reps. And then you've got the Lansing Toure, and you also have Chris Collins. That's right, Chris Collins. So those 2 guys are getting reps right now, preparing to play in those games.
All right, as we showed you off the top of the show, a game you saw right here on Spectrum News. Panthers 28-23 winners over the Buffalo Bills. Let's take you to New Era Field now. Ron Rivera on the podium talking to the media.
We got everybody? Cool.
Ron, your takeaways are?
Well, some good things. The biggest disappointment early on was the first defense had opportunities to get off on 3rd down. We didn't convert. They converted, and that's unfortunate. And that's probably the biggest thing that I saw with the first bunch. I thought they had some opportunities. They went out and did some things that I thought they could have done better. Offensively, we missed a couple throws early. I think Cam was a little jacked up, and he threw a couple high balls that he normally hits. He had hit them all year in training camp, and he missed them. But the second series, really what we were looking for. I thought it was a good mix of run and pass. And again, we converted when we had to, so that was huge. But again, the 3rd down conversion thing is, a little concerning right now. We just got to be better on both those situations. Did like what I saw from the backup quarterbacks. I thought both guys played well. Both guys did some really nice things, and we had some guys make plays across the board as a football team. But there's still a lot of work to do.
Were they targeting Kevon specifically?
No, again, when you go back and look at what they were doing. When we were off, they threw the hitches. When we were on, they ran the fades. I mean, it's a very basic thing, and it's one of those things that Kevon's got to be better at. He was up in position, went to Kelp, jammed the receiver slung him to the side, so he was in a chase position from that point. And it's one of those things that we'll work on. The game plan thing tells us you can do some different things to help them. And again, it's pretty basic as far as what we did, but targeting them, no. Doing what they do on their offensive side, yes.
Trey Turner this week said the best word to describe how he feels North Turner's offense is running right now is efficiently. And I think the way that Christian McCaffrey was utilized really showed that in that second series. What did you see in that series?
I saw exactly what you're talking about, Jordan. You know, I was real pleased with the way, you know, the ball was spread around. We hit different people. We had different people open in certain situations. Quarterback delivered a couple of good balls after he kind of got the rust off a little bit and threw some really nice balls. I liked the way we ran the ball. I liked the way we mixed the runs up. Again, it's one of those things as we continue to work developing our offense, you'll see it continue to grow.
Shaq Thompson's big play seemed to put a little juice.
It did, you know, because defense, you know, we put the second bunch in for the most part. Shaq had only gotten 7 plays because we were playing nickel as well, so he missed out. So we sent him in for one more series, and it paid off because he made a big play for us. But it did, it brought a little juice to everybody. It kind of energized us as a football team.
The opposite side, Jarius Wright, including getting yards after the catch, really seemed more physical than I think people give him credit for.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. I think he's a much more physical player than people give him credit for, especially in the slot. But then we also saw DJ do the same thing. Curtis Samuels. You know, it was really good to see the different weapons being utilized today. And again, it's as we continue to develop and grow this offense, you know, as North continues to do the things that he feels we can do, I think we still have potential for growth.
Could you expand more on those backup quarterbacks and what you saw with him?
Well, again, you know, each one of them came in, and I believe each one of their first series were a little rusty. But once they settled in, you saw a little bit better pinpoint passing. You saw some good mix of running and throwing. I thought play calling was excellent. That was very diverse and really utilized the different formations and personnel sets that we have. I thought both of them showed good command, and both of them threw nice touch passes when they had to.
Did you get to see a replay of the Jermaine Carter helmet roll call? Did you see that?
Yes, and again, you know, that's what they're talking about because unfortunately JC came in with the head down, and that's what they're trying to prevent. You know, and then the one on them, you know, when Hood was running the ball, he was in one of those vulnerable positions. The guy came in and they hit helmet to helmet. And again, as a defender, when you come in, you've got to be careful about how contact's initiated.
It seemed like Carter was all over the place tonight. Is that an extension of what you've seen in camp?
Yes, that's exactly what we've seen in camp. Unfortunately, Andre Smith pulled his hamstring, so we lost him early. And you know, we were already down linebackers with Ben out, so it was tough going for those young guys at the end. They played a lot of snaps and they did a great job. And I can't wait to watch the film because there's a lot of guys that played hard and did the things that we needed them to do.
You said Cam was a little jacked up early. We saw him trying to talk to Kelly before the game. Do you think that it?
No, it had nothing to do with it.
Any thoughts on that?
No, Cam's always excited when it's football, and he's really one of those emotional guys. And he gets out there and he threw a couple high balls. I mean, he had Greg open. You liked him just settle in a little bit, slow down, and deliver a good pass. The other time he threw a little bit off his back foot and the ball sailed. But for the most part, he handled what we did very well. We drove down our second drive and scored a touchdown, and that's what we're looking for.
Do you see more confidence in Shaq Thompson?
Oh yeah, very much so. I think again, it's you know, he's at a point now where I think he feels himself, you know, playing to his ability. And he's a fourth-year player. You know, some of the things that we do on the defense are suit him very well, and he knows that. And again, you know, we're excited to have him continue to grow in what we're doing.
I know you can see that well on the field, but how do you see that off the field?
The way he interacts with his teammates when they're around. You know, instead of being that guy kind of on the edge, now you see him in the middle of things, and that's, you know, a little more about maturity and growth.
We've talked a lot about DJ Moore and his ability to make people miss.
You've been listening to head coach Ron Rivera inside New Era Field. Panthers a 28-23 winner over the Buffalo Bills. Big tip of the cap to our Spectrum News folks in Buffalo for hooking us up with that. Let's take a timeout. Much more to get to on the program. Twitter poll asking you, who won the Cam Newton, Kelvin Benjamin beef on Thursday night? At Sports_Night. That's where you vote, comment, and the like. When we come back, we're going to go racing. Can Chase Elliott make it back-to-back wins? Somebody in the fantasy field thinks so.